2 months ago today, I set up this tank imagining it would be full of a fresh, earthy vibe. Since then, the fish have been swimming around looking for food, and the shrimp have been busy scavenging for leftover bits or algae on the bottom. Their waste gets broken down by microorganisms, and the plants absorb those nutrients to grow. In this video, I'll show you how to set up an aquarium and share some easy tips for maintaining it along the way. Using egg stones and aquatic plants for this layout. Let's get started. This tank is 45 centimeters wide, often referred to as a shallow tank. I added a frosted film from Daiso to the back of the tank for a clean, soft look. The first thing you need when setting up an aquarium is the substrate. Substrates are generally split into two types, sand and soil. Sand is, well, like the sand you'd find by a river or on a beach, and soil is processed and baked so it's safe for underwater use. Since I'll be planting easy, beginner-friendly aquatic plants, I decided to go with sand for this tank. If you're into aquariums, you might wonder if plants can actually grow in sand. Unlike terrestrial plants that rely heavily on their roots for nutrients, aquatic plants can absorb nutrients not just through their roots, but also through their leaves and stems directly from the water. This means they can thrive even if the substrate isn't nutrient-rich, as long as the water has what they need. You can just lay the substrate flat, but creating a slope that gets higher toward the back makes the tank look deeper and more spacious. This slope needs to be higher than you might think to really stand out. In this tank, the back section is piled up to about half the tank's height. If you view it from the side, you'll see a clear difference. This stone is called egg stone. Natural rocks shaped into an egg-like form. They're pretty uniform in shape, which makes them easy to arrange. And they don't affect water quality, so they're great for beginners. Do you guys know about pet rocks? During the peak of COVID-19 in South Korea, it became a trend among people in their 20s and 30s. These pet rocks were actually sold as egg stones. Start by placing the larger stones evenly throughout the tank, then use smaller ones to fill in the gaps. Rocks have no life and don't move, so how could they be pets? Think of Wilson, the volleyball from the movie Castaway. Pet rocks actually started in the US back in 1975. A guy named Gary Dahl came up with the idea. He was joking with friends about how hard it is to take care of pets and said, "Why not have rocks as pets? That solves everything." He turned the joke into a product, and surprisingly, it was a huge hit. In South Korea, celebrities who were too busy to care for pets started sharing photos of themselves with pet rocks as an alternative. That's how pet rocks gained popularity here. Once you've added the substrate and rocks, it's time to fill the tank with water and get ready to plant. The advantages of pet rocks are very clear. They don't eat, poop, bark, or cry. They're always quiet. And they'll likely outlive their owner, so you don't have to worry about them dying. In fact, some people who've had painful goodbyes with dogs or cats end up choosing pet rocks because they'll never die. What you're seeing here is me removing air bubbles trapped in the substrate. Why remove the bubbles? There's no particular reason. I just felt like pressing them. Does this mean pet rocks have no disadvantages? Of course not. Rocks, well, they don't connect with you emotionally. No matter how many times you call their name or talk to them, the only response you'll get is silence. But here's where Gary Dahl, the creator of pet rocks, was brilliant. Instead of seeing this as a disadvantage, he said, "Rocks don't listen well, but they're perfect at following one command, staying still." He even added to the manual, "If you gently roll your rock, it can perform tricks." In today's world, it's less about what you sell and more about how you sell it. This plant is called Staurogyne repens. It was first discovered in South America, growing between rocks along riverbanks. It's easy to grow, versatile, and popular with both beginners and experts. This plant has a ton of perks. It doesn't need CO2 injection or fertilizers, and it doesn't require much light either. It's also a slow grower, so you don't need to trim it often. In fact, I haven't trimmed this tank once since setting it up. Propagating it is super simple. Just cut the stem and plant it in the substrate and it'll sprout new roots on its own. It's a short plant, so you can create a carpet-like effect in the foreground or plant clusters in the midground for a nice focal point. However, unlike other carpeting plants that spread runners, you'll need to plant it densely from the start like I did, or keep replanting cuttings as it grows. I originally used 1 cup of tissue culture for a previous tank, and now I have this much. When planting, make sure to push the plants deep into the substrate. This prevents them from floating up later. Even if some leaves are buried, it's fine, they'll adjust. Once all the plants are in place, fill the tank up with the rest of the water. You could fill the tank completely before planting, but you'd end up with wet sleeves, so I wouldn't recommend it. Now that everything's planted, your job isn't to add fertilizers or start trimming just yet. All you need to do is keep up with regular water changes. Enjoy your new tank.